The film opens with a helicopter landing. Suddenly, one of the infected leaps out and attacks the fans standing nearby. Chaos erupts everywhere. The situation becomes so dire that a security officer has to fly in himself to stop the zombies. Meanwhile, inside a house, a young boy watches in horror as his sister transforms into a zombie. Their father tries to stop her, but the boy, terrified, runs away. He doesn't understand what's happening. Although the virus had already killed millions, a young doctor named Dr. Rahman eventually developed a vaccine that cured humans of the zombie infection. Gradually, the epidemic was eradicated. The story then jumps forward 15 years later. Survivors have resumed their normal lives. One of them is a boy from before, now grown up. His name is Zidik, and he works in a junkyard. One day, Zidik and his friend Hassan visit an old animal museum that is about to be demolished. They search for scrap items to collect. While there, Zidik sees two children playing, which reminds him of his own childhood, when he lived in an orphanage after losing his family. Back then, he had a crush on a girl, but now he has no idea where she is. Later that evening, the two return home with the junk and sit down for dinner. Hassan brings up a girl named Mariam, who died years ago from the zombie virus. He then reveals that today is Zidik's birthday, and as a gift, he gives him a cake along with Mariam's locket so that Zidik can keep her memory alive. At the same time, shocking news spreads across the city. The same Dr. Rahman, once hailed as humanity's savior, has now been caught in a massive corruption scandal. He had embezzled millions from his own pharmaceutical company. The company collapsed and Rahman was sent to prison. But to everyone's surprise, he managed to escape, and the police still haven't found him. Meanwhile, during a prison transfer, police officers escorting an inmate are suddenly ambushed by gunfire. A mysterious man kidnaps the prisoner and drags him to an abandoned factory. This factory turns out to be Rahman's secret hideout, where he's been living all these years. Here, Rahman begins a new experiment. He injects the prisoner with a new strain of his virus. The result is horrifying. The prisoner transforms into a zombie, just like what happened 15 years ago. Back at Zidik's workplace, things feel off. Hassan is nowhere to be seen, and after, a man stumbles in, complaining of chest pains after hitting someone with his car. But when Zidik checks, the person who was hit has mysteriously vanished. Disturbed by these strange events, Zidik goes searching for Hassan. He finally finds him standing alone, waiting for Mariam. Zidik insists that Mariam died years ago, but Hassan refuses to believe it. Still, Zidik convinces him to get in the car, saying they have work to do. Meanwhile, inside the abandoned factory, Rahman continues his research, using the blood of the prisoner-turned-zombie. Then he enters a hidden room where he has kept his own daughter, Zidik, imprisoned. 15 years earlier, she too was infected with the zombie virus. The truth finally comes out. Rahman had lied about developing a vaccine. In reality, he has spent all these years desperately searching for a cure to save his daughter. Back at the museum, Zidik is collecting items when suddenly, the alarm goes off. The manager goes to check, but before he can return, a zombie bursts in and attacks him. Outside the museum, several people are relaxing, unaware of the danger. Moments later, the zombie attacks them as well. Within minutes, everyone there turns into zombies. The nightmare from 15 years ago has begun again. Zidik is horrified when he sees a female zombie chewing on a human. To his shock, she looks exactly like Zoe, the same girl he had loved as a child. When zombie Zoe bites him, Zidik sinks into a deep memory and doesn't resist. But then, Dr. Rahman arrives. To his astonishment, Zidik doesn't transform into a zombie despite the bite. Realizing Zidik is special, Rahman orders his men to capture both Zidik and Zoe and take them back to his lab. Meanwhile, Hassan is still searching for Zidik. He spots a vehicle carrying Zidik. He follows it and finally discovers Rahman's factory. Inside, Rahman draws Zidik's blood and begins his experiments. Zidik demands to know why Rahman has released the zombie virus again. Rahman reveals his twisted motive. He claims he hates his country. Despite saving humanity, he never received recognition or reward. So now, this epidemic is his revenge. He explains that some people are immune to the virus, while others are immune to the vaccine. His own daughter, Zidik, had never fully recovered despite the vaccine. Using Zidik's blood, Rahman plans to perfect his formula and force the government to admit that without him, the epidemic will wipe out all of humanity. As Zidik is escorted to another room, he sees dozens of zombies locked in cages. Spotting an opportunity, he attacks his guard and steals the key. But instead of freedom, he is thrown into a prison cell. There, he remembers his childhood at the orphanage, the same punishment of being locked away. Suddenly, he hears a voice through the wall. It's Zidik. She asks, "Are you as important to Papa as I am?" Because Papa only keeps important people in this room. Zidik doesn't respond. He doesn't know what to say to this innocent child. He thinks about rescuing Zidik, but she refuses, saying, "If I leave Papa, he will be all alone." Zidik is forced to walk away. On the way out, he sees Zoe, tied with ropes. At first, he thinks it's someone else, but when she makes a childhood gesture, he realizes it's truly her. He frees her, though he still keeps his distance. His fear of zombies hasn't gone away. Seizing another chance, Zidik deceives the guards and escapes. Just then, Hassan arrives, and together they make a run for it. While fleeing, Zidik insists that they must leave the city because it is now crawling with zombies. But Hassan refuses. He insists on staying because he still believes he has to wait for Mariam. The two argue fiercely. Zidik begs him to let go of the past, reminding him that Mariam is gone. But Hassan refuses to listen. The tension grows, until suddenly, a massive horde of zombies charges toward them. Zidik has no choice. He drives through the swarm, cutting down hundreds of zombies in order to escape. But then, Hassan suddenly jumps out of the car. He tells Zidik to continue on alone. He must keep his promise to Mariam, even if it means fighting 100 zombies. Hassan, left behind, fights the horde with everything he has. The battle is brutal, but he kills every zombie, even the powerful prisoner zombie. But Hassan doesn't survive. Severely infected, he realizes he too will soon turn into a monster. So, in his final act of defiance, he jumps off a bridge, sacrificing himself so no one else will get hurt. Meanwhile, Zidik, who has just witnessed the heartbreaking death of his friend, overcome with grief and rage, he throws himself into the horde of zombies and begins fighting recklessly. But eventually, the zombies strike him down, and he falls unconscious. When Zidik finally wakes up, he finds himself inside a house. The very first thought that crosses his mind is of Hassan, his brother-like friend, gone forever. Filled with sorrow, he steps outside, only to be shocked. Zoe is there, along with a woman named Maya and her two younger siblings, Ki and Muzibi. But Muzibi, just like Zoe, has already been infected with the virus. At first, Zidik is terrified, haunted by the horrific memory of his childhood when zombies brutally killed his entire family. But Maya calms him, explaining that there's no need to panic. She tells him that Zoe herself picked him up and brought him here, which means some zombies still retain human thoughts. Maya also reveals something crucial. Zidik's body is immune to the zombie virus. He has been bitten several times, yet he never transformed. This could mean a cure is possible once again. Curious, Zidik slowly approaches Zoe, trying to speak to her. Though still scared, he's stunned when Zoe actually responds. She doesn't want to harm him at all. Maya, noticing this, asks Zidik if he knew her. He then reveals the truth. He and Zoe grew up together in the same orphanage, and one day, he even got expelled for fighting the orphanage owner to protect her. Meanwhile, Dr. Rahman is seen speaking on the phone in Mandarin. He threatens that unless he receives a huge amount of money, his vaccine research will go to waste. When he asks his assistant, Camaro, about the progress, Camaro admits that they've managed to create a vaccine from Zidik's blood, but it still cannot fully cure an infected person. Desperate, he demands Zidik be tested further. The next morning, Zidik wakes up to little Kiki asking him to play in the sand. Maya, Muzibi, and Zoe are also there. Zidik, with nothing else to do, decides to join them at the beach. There, he again tries to speak with Zoe. This time, Zoe responds with anger, saying, "Why didn't you look for me all these years?" Before Zidik can answer, a gunshot rings out. Zoe collapses. Camaro has found their hideout. Wasting no time, Camaro captures Zidik and drags him back to Dr. Rahman's factory. Meanwhile, Rahman proudly shows his daughter, Sidi, the giant monstrous creature he created using his experiments. He promises that once she's cured, he'll build her an entire theme park filled with monsters. Then, using Zidik's blood, Rahman enhances his vaccine and injects Sidi. At first, her body mutates into a zombie, but moments later, she returns to normal. The vaccine works. Elsewhere, Zoe has survived the gunshot and tells Maya that Zidik has been taken away. Maya and her siblings immediately plan a rescue. Back at the factory, Rahman strikes a deal with Chinese investors to sell the vaccine for millions. But when Sidi asks if he will also cure the other zombies he experimented on, Rahman coldly replies that he doesn't care about them. Heartbroken, Sidi frees all the captured zombies, unleashing chaos inside the factory. During the massacre, Zidik escapes. Meanwhile, Rahman and Camaro attempt to flee, but outside, the massive dinosaur-like creature breaks loose. Overcome with fear, Rahman abandons his daughter and runs away. Camaro, however, sacrifices himself to protect Sidi. Rahman, now devastated, realizes that despite his years of effort, he has failed to save his daughter. Just then, Maya and Zoe arrive. They rescue Sidi, but the monstrous creature charges at them. Zoe bravely shields Maya and Sidi, fighting back against the beast. Strangely, the creature seems to despise zombies most of all and targets Zoe with its rage. Maya, thinking fast, lures the monster onto a nearby bridge. As it approaches, she throws a grenade. The explosion collapses the bridge, crushing the beast beneath it. Meanwhile, Zidik, still furious, confronts Ramon. A brutal fight breaks out. Zidik defeats him but spares his life, declaring he isn't as heartless as Ramon. As Zidik leaves, he discovers Zoe buried under rubble. At first, he fears she's gone, but then he realizes she's still breathing. Overwhelmed with relief, Zidik finally confesses his feelings to her. For the first time, after all the chaos, they are truly together. And so, the story ends, Zidik and Zoe, reunited at last, ready to live the life they were once denied. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.